Welcome back to Live from Paris here on France 24. It's time now for Media Watch, and I'm joined here in the studio by Rebecca Bowring. Thanks for joining us. Well, before you come to us with that Gérard Depardieu movie news, which we've been teasing everybody with, we'll start with something a little bit more political, a blow-by-blow account of the ruling UMP party's summer conference. What's that all about?
That's right, the l'Université d'été, as it's known here in France. It's a traditional thing, happens every year. It's a 3-day meeting of UMP party members, and this year it's taking place in Marseille in the south. Lucky for them, they've got lots of sunshine. Le Nouvel Observateur, which is a French publication here, has been giving us a kind of hourly update on how events are progressing. This is the last one before the next set of presidential elections, of course. We're expecting quite a lot to be coming out of that. So in its campus roundup, it's been giving us, well, it says insight into the key phrases, the big debates, and maybe the indiscretions of today and the 2 days to come. So we learned first that if we scroll down, then a UMP party member needs to be sort of ready for battle and all kitted out with the right bits and pieces. So it's actually featuring this website some of the paraphernalia you can buy as a UMP party member. I'm scrolling down because the site is kind of
tat.
Yes, some tourist tat, but all along the same theme, Kat. Now, what you'd need if you were going to this event was a pair of UMP party flip-flops, of course. That's a summer accessory not to miss. Yeah. There's also a branded bottle opener there. If you want to have a drink of lemonade, I wouldn't recommend beer because it's quite a serious kind of event. Or how about an anti-stress ball? It's a snippet to €3, and it's kind of useful given there's lots of rumours about schisms in the party at the moment. You know, you might need to pump your arm and calm yourself down. Now, this website is saying that the event is kind of outgrowing its traditional format. It used to be sort of Freshers' Week style, you know, and now it's held in a big conference hall with lots of banners and flags everywhere. And the buzzword for today apparently has been unity. Now, that's because, as I was saying, there are various rumours circulating in the media that, in fact, the UMP party is having a bit of difficulty getting everybody on board and on the same page. The Marseille mayor, Claude Gaudin, who is the guy who's actually hosting this event, had this sort of statement of harmony to make today. The media wanted to stop us from creating a dialogue on different religions existing side by side, he said. He's referring back to a debate on secularism that caused a lot of a big outcry here in France when it took place back in April. And he says, but we've held it together, and everybody's now agreed on almost everything.
Almost everything.
Almost everything.
Not telling us what they haven't agreed on.
He didn't mention that. No, he didn't. But
a few side things, like whether to have garlic bread, maybe. Something like that. A
few small side issues. But they did have a debate today, a roundtable debate on Tunisia. And somebody turned up just after that took place at 5 p.m. It was the former French Foreign Affairs Minister, Michel Alliot-Marie. Now, was that just a coincidence? We have to ask ourselves, Kat, because she quit back in February over Tunisia. In fact, that was the reason why she handed in her resignation. She had very close links to the Ben Ali regime.
A few holidays there.
Few holidays, few journeys in a private jet owned by a businessman close to Ben Ali. In fact, her parents even bought some property from him. So that's raised a little bit of a storm, particularly on this website, as they're saying, well, she's not available to comment on a subject she evidently knows quite a lot about.
Okay, so a bit of live blogging there, trying to give us a bit more of a modern view on a party conference.
Exactly, a bit of an up-to-date, kind of way at looking at this political conference.
Well, we'll move on to a news website, one that's rising from the ashes of a financial crash.
That's right. It's called Backsheesh, and it was founded back in 2006. And the key thing to understand about this site was that it was started up by a gentleman called Nicolas Beau, and he used to work for Le Canard Enchaîné, which I guess translates as the chained duck, but in French, canard also means kind of a news bulletin. So it's a satirical weekly that's been extremely popular here in France for a very long time, but it doesn't have a web presence. So the journalists then went ahead and set up a website that kind of does a similar thing. It's very, very interactive, has lots of video. And backsheesh means bribe in Arabic. And they say that the slogan of this site is Information, Enquête et Mauvais Esprit. News, investigations and perversity, we could say, or literally the evil spirits.
Maybe a bit of naughtiness.
Exactly, that's kind of on the agenda, a bit of black humour. It kind of reminds me slightly of Private Eye in the UK. Well, it filed for bankruptcy back in 2009, and it's now back on its feet. It's got this cool new website and this fantastic video that I'm going to play for you here, which is a takeoff, really, of a Turkish movie. So it's in Turkish with French subtitles, and it sets the irreverent tone of the piece. It talks about the setbacks that the site faced, but says it'll be back in mid-September. and then it will be competing with other news sites like this one, Rue 89, which is a site that we use very often on Media Watch, others like Atlantico. And there's also, just to as an aside, a new kid on the block for Anglophiles here in France who want to read France's news in English. It's called The Local.fr, and it's been around for 3 months, and it's actually part of a franchise that exists in Germany, Sweden and Switzerland as well. So you can catch up on your German news as well, Kat.
Fabulous. Well, moving on to something that's popular in Germany, hamburgers. The French have a bit of a thing about Burger King. Tell us more.
They do. This is a sort of comeback, cooking up a storm online, because like many people, the French want what they can't have, and they've been deprived of Burger King for a very long time, since 1997. Today, apparently, the Great Return has been announced, and that, according to this site, Street Generation, Burger King is going to come back to France. It closed its last restaurant, on the Champs-Élysées back in 1997, having lost really the battle against McDo, as it's called in France, McDonald's, and also Quick, which is the French fast food chain. But the French have been fantasising about, a flame grill comeback, and because they have food nostalgia, essentially, and we're hearing here that possibly this is going to be a return. So this is an article actually back from 1997 saying that a Burger King had actually failed to overcome the battle. But according to this site, Snacking.fr, which is actually an industry site which looks at fast food, primarily Burger King is coming back to France. However, we have had Whoppers, if you pardon the pun, before, back in 2010, in October 2010. There were rumours circulating then that Burger King would be back, but actually it turned out not to be the case. Oh. So who knows, they might have to wait a little bit longer.
Those lying internet fiends. If you want to just briefly show us, we've just got time for Gérard Depardieu taking the pee-pee out of himself.
Depardieu, yes. Now, of course, we remember the French actor inebriated on a flight from Paris to Dublin relieved himself in the aisle when he wasn't able to use the toilet during takeoff. Apparently he's been mortified, but he has now taken a light-hearted approach to the whole affair, and he's turned it into a publicity stunt for his next film, which is an adaptation of The Adventures of Asterix, which is a classic French comic book. He plays Obelix, the chubby one, who has a voracious appetite. But in this version of events, he's not searching for somebody to go to the loo. He's searching for the ability to eat his favourite meal, which is wild boar, sanglier. He's absolutely obsessed with it. So we are watching here him dressed up in his Obelix costume, being told by the air hostess that no, he can't get up now in search of wild boar. So yes, it is evidence that Gérard Depardieu knows how to take the pee-pee out of himself.
And that's what we like. That's a good way to turn a bit of a web mishap into a web triumph. Thanks very much, Rebecca Bowring, for Media Watch. Back later on. It's time for more from the web now. I'll look at web news and what's got people clicking in cyberspace today.